Hello, beautiful people. How are you today? So good to be here. Always happy to drop in and share some channeled wisdom, some thoughts, some ideas to support you, to assist anyone who tunes in or catches the replay in some way. So, yeah. If you are tuning in with me today, please, just drop a heart or a hello, even if you can't stay. I really do appreciate knowing who's been here with me. And if you do catch the replay, just comment replay. Yeah, and then I know. And if you really get something from today, or you have a little aha moment, please share that. Please share that as well. So today is a really big topic, but I want to try and bring it down to some key things and some really key pieces of wisdom so my intention is to support you to be able to take a step back and have a look at something in your life and to in some way help you to perhaps see it differently. And if you can see it differently, to put some tools and some power back into your hands to create a new outcome with what's going on. So I said in a couple of the preview posts that I was going to be talking about codependence, and I absolutely am. Although I want to preface it by saying, although most of us, almost every human will experience some level of codependency, either consciously or unconsciously. Most of us are not walking around going, "Oh, I'm codependent. Oh, I've got codependency going on in my life." Most of us don't do that. That's just the psychological term for it. So what I want to do today is give you a little bit more of, one or two real life examples of what it will look like, how it shows up, what's actually happening, and what you can do next. What are some new choices? What are some new tools that you can, take on for yourself? So let's start with codependency. I'm just going to start with the word, and then I'm going to dive into some examples just to help you really get where this is possibly showing up in your life. So codependency or being codependent, it's when we place the burden of filling our emotional needs with someone or something else. Okay, I'll say that again. So it's when we place the burden or the responsibility of filling our emotional needs with someone or something else. Now, I said in the preview, this is something we all do in some way. And quite often it's an unconscious or a conscious process. Mostly it's unconscious, right? Because we've not been taught this stuff. So how do you identify it? How do you identify if this is something that you're doing? Well, the first port of call, the first place to look is in your suffering. Are you experiencing any kind of emotional pain in your life? That is the first place to look. So I entitled this, Heartbreak. If you've ever experienced it, tune in. So it's a great example to be able to show you what codependency looks like and how you can just really take your power back on this. Because as I said, most of us are in some kind of codependent relationship with someone or something else because we are unconsciously projecting our needs or the responsibility of our emotional needs onto the someone or the something. So I saw a really awesome example of this morning, which really prompted me to want to share it. So how do we break this down? So I kind of, was scribbling out some notes this morning going, how can I break this down to make it really simple? So I've put it into literally just three things will occur. So we look at the suffering, and let's look at heartbreak. All right. So we've, the thing is the heartbreak. If you're on here with me live, I would love it if you gave me a heart or just a hello. I really do appreciate when people, join me. So I just want you to know that. It means the world. So the place to look is in our suffering. Hello. I didn't see who it was, but whoever it is, I'm so happy to have you here. So we need to look at the suffering. Oh, it's beautiful, Christy. Hello, beautiful woman. How are you? Oh, the wedding that you were at looked amazing. If I ever get married again, I'm going to reach out to you. You can marry me. So let's look at the suffering. And heartbreak to me is one of the most identifiable, relatable areas of suffering that we can look at, because we've all experienced it on some level. I mean, if you haven't had a broken heart at some point in your life, I'm just going to say power to you. And if you have, thank you for joining me in that process. I have had multiple broken hearts. My heart's been broken so many times. And that is where I want to start. So first of all, let's look at the story that we associate with what happened. So the suffering is our collection of what it is that just went on. So we're going to say, okay, so I've had my heart broken. And yeah, you may have had your heart broken, although I'm going to actually quote one of my mentors, Kyle Cease, this is his quote, but he says, nobody broke our heart, they just broke our expectations. I'll say that again. Nobody actually breaks your heart, they just broke your expectations. So let's start with the story, because that's the first port of call. There's a story, right? Something happened. We're going to call it heartbreak. Now, you could call it homesick as well. Could be homesickness, right? Could be, some sort of rejection, right? Rejection through your work or your business or your industry. But there's a story that's happened, and it's made you feel something. So here's what happened. My heart was broken. And what happened? That created a collection of emotions, a collection of feelings. Now, when you've had your heart broken, or you've had something happen that causes you emotional pain or emotional distress of some kind, what we don't want to do is feel the feelings, right? We don't. So we kind of say to ourselves, oh my God, right now, what am I feeling? Oh, I can barely breathe. If you've ever had a broken heart, I'm going to go with those emotions because I'm totally familiar with them. Not recently, but if you've read my book, you'll know about that. But the collection of feelings is, your heart gets broken or something happens, and then I can't breathe. I just can't breathe. I feel so alone. I feel so, what's the point? I feel so rejected. I feel so let down. I feel so, why wasn't I good enough? All of those emotions will come bubbling up, and what we call them as we need a story to call them. So we call them, my heart got broken. Now, humans are not designed to feel those feelings. We've just never been taught to, right? So what's been born out of that is this tendency to create some sort of, what we do then is we project, okay? So we feel all these feelings, we call it heartbreak or homesickness or whatever, and then we project the responsibility of these feelings onto someone or something. Okay, so in this instance, you would project the responsibility of all of those emotions and make it, and you not ever feeling them onto someone or something else. So A, my heart got broken. B, I experienced these feelings. And then the final piece of that is I don't want to feel these feelings. So in order not to feel these feelings, I need to recreate a relationship. I need to have the relationship because then I won't experience these feelings. Will go if I have the relationship. And that's projection, right? That's us projecting responsibility. Remember, if we go back to, creating. So if you've ever, been in, if you've ever had a cycle of relationships that, that haven't worked or have just been dysfunctional in some way, and this is not to say all of the work I do, please hear me on this, all of the work I do is never about the what happened. It's about you and your experience of it and you taking back your power and standing in your full self-responsibility to heal yourself. And if you can do that, you can have the richest, most fulfilling, most joyful, most peaceful life possible. Or if you don't want to be responsible for that, you will continue to create cycles of dysfunction in your life. So if we come on back to this little story, and I just did write something down. What did I write down? Not that. That was something I did this morning. So I wanted to try and create just a little framework around this. And so the first thing is the story, right? The story that happens. This happened and my heart got broken. That story, if you have a look at underneath the story, there's a set of associated feelings. And the feelings might be sad, alone, rejected, abandoned, not good enough, whatever, lost, whatever, those horrible feelings that come with heartbreak. And then what we then do is we don't want to feel we don't want to, if I recreate A, I won't feel B, right? So here's what I'm feeling, and I'm calling it a broken heart. I don't want to feel these feelings. So how do I not feel these feelings? Well, I need not to have a broken heart. How do I not have a broken heart? I'm going to create another relationship and put the burden of responsibility onto that person to make sure that I never feel those feelings, sadness, alone, whatever. The example that I saw this morning, which was a beauty, was around homesickness, right? So this girl was experiencing homesickness, and she asked, how could she not experience homesickness? Now, homesickness isn't actually a thing, kind of like heartbreak isn't a thing. It is, but it's the result of the story that you create to summarize the collection of feelings that you're experiencing. Are you with me on this? Let me know if you are. Just give me a heart or a thumbs up if this is making sense. So then what we do is, so then, looking at the homesick example, so what she was actually doing was she was projecting onto her parents the responsibility of her not feeling this set of feelings. This is what we do in relationship as well. We project onto the person, it's your responsibility that I never feel this set of feelings. In fact, I'm going to go one more and say it's actually your responsibility that I feel the opposite of this, right? So this is how we create those codependent relationships where we're dependent on the other to have us feel something and not feel something else. Now, if we look at the thing that we're trying to avoid here, so we're trying to avoid a set of feelings. We're trying to avoid, feeling lost, alone, abandoned. If you use the homesick example, she was trying to, avoid the feeling of isolation, lost, alone, probably the same. When we unpack this, truly, when we actually begin to unpack the stories, it will generally come down to the exact same set of things. But the story is where we live from, right? Rather than getting down to what's underneath it. So what we then go on to do is, is to have, recreate, let me create something else now so that I don't feel all of these horrible feelings. Now, what we're really wanting is not to not feel those horrible feelings. We're actually wanting the opposite of them, right? Because if we had the opposite of them, which is what we think the relationship or whatever the thing is going to give us, if we have the opposite of them, then we're going to be okay, right? Everything's going to be okay as long as I'm, feeling loved and nurtured and fulfilled and whatever. So if you have a look at what are the feelings that are just so unbearable inside of the story. So let's look at whatever the story is that we're telling ourselves. And please know, guys, I'm never, ever minimizing the what happened. Shitty things happen to us. They really do. They happen to all of us. What I'm about and what I'm truly a stand for is helping people to be really self-empowered in around the what happened, right? Yeah, so I've lost where I was up to, but I'm just going to keep going on because this is a really big thing. Okay, I know where I was. So what we need to then start to do is go, okay, so what is it that we really want, right? We want to feel, what is it the thing that we think this thing is giving us? Well, we think it's giving us the opposite of those horrible feelings that we have when we don't have it. So then the question is, where am I projecting responsibility for these feelings I do want onto someone or something else? Where am I not actually stepping in and being in full self-responsibility for making sure that I'm full of those feelings that I actually want to be experiencing? Because when we can begin to identify that, we can then start to get really responsible for filling ourselves up with those feelings that we think that can only come from the source, the thing outside of us, the relationship, the parents, the job, the whatever. We have to be willing to, and this may be an unpopular, truth, because it's easier, it's not simple, but it's often easier just to not look at this and just, I'm just going to go and create something else that's going to make me feel good. I'm not going to be willing to look at where I'm not filling myself up here. And so I'm just going to make it someone else's responsibility. I'm literally just, I'm just going to make it not my problem. I'm going to find another relationship and I'm going to unconsciously project onto them. It's their responsibility. Now, here's the thing with the whole projection thing as well. Two real key things when we do this, and why it becomes this, really toxic cycle. The person that we have projected responsibility, our emotional, the burden of our emotional needs onto, the first thing is they didn't give us permission to do that. They didn't actually say, yeah, I'm willing to take this on, I'm willing to be responsible, and nor should they, by the way. But the second thing is that because of that, they are hugely unaware that you have placed this burden on them to be responsible for your emotional needs. They don't know you've done that. So you're walking around with this little unconscious checklist in your mind going, when they do this, I'm happy. When they do this, I'm not. And then you're kind of holding them to ransom and getting upset with them when they're not fulfilling your emotional needs. You get where I'm going with this, you can see. So codependency is when we continue to create a relationship with someone or something where we are, where we're just handing off the responsibility of fulfilling our emotional needs to the someone or the something, and then getting shitty and blaming them when they don't actually, do anything to make us happy, so to speak. And so, we might reject them or reject us, and then we just go and try and do the whole thing all over again with someone else. The cycle stops the second we decide or choose to be in full self-responsibility for our own emotional needs. So how can we do that? So if we look at, for example, let's just look at one emotion here that we'll stick with the heartbreak or, homesick sort of example. The feelings are still the same that you're being left with. So if we look at, for example, when I'm in a relationship, I feel fulfilled, I feel happy, I love being, what do you love about that? I love being, I love going out to dinner with them. Look at the practicalities of the thing that you actually love, not the feeling itself, but what's the story attached to the feeling? I feel this because this is happening. We're kind of reverse engineering it. Okay, so those are the things that you love. This is the key question. If you're going to write down anything today, write this down. The key question is, where am I giving that to myself? Because quite often we're not. So, for example, when I'm in a relationship, I feel, I feel seen. I really feel seen when I'm in a relationship. So the question is, are you seeing yourself? Do you see yourself first? Are you full of that? Because here's the thing, if you are so full of the I'm seen and I'm seen by myself, you won't actually notice. You won't feel empty of it. So you won't be looking for an external source to fill you up with that because you'll be so full of it yourself. So then what you will end up with is the most beautiful interdependent relationship where you've got one human being completely full and in full self-responsibility for their emotional needs, and then you've got another human being who is in complete full and self-responsibility for their emotional needs. You have two completely full human beings who don't require the other person to fill each other up. And you have this beautiful interdependent relationship where you get to journey side by side together as two full, happy and fulfilled human beings. That's an interdependent relationship. But most relationships that are out there, there is, one or the other is looking to get some sort of need fulfilled, some sort of emotional need fulfilled by the other person. And we are in the false belief that without them, we can't have that, right? Without the external thing, the partner, the job, the family, the home, the whatever, without that, we're somehow incomplete. Without that, we're empty and devoid in some way. And the transformation in this is to recognize that you are the source. And it is your responsibility, it's my responsibility to fill myself up with the things that make me feel good, right? What's the beauty in this? There's some beautiful things can come from this kind of, when we do this kind of work. Conscious parenting can come from this kind of, when you are so, when you live in such, in complete and total self-responsibility for your emotional well-being, what comes from that is really conscious parenting, conscious relationships, conscious interacting with the world, which is where you are making your choices and decisions from a place of fullness and not a place of lack, right? Where you are then making choices and decisions on what is the highest good of all versus what's going to, fulfill an emptiness in me. Yeah. Any questions, guys? I know there's a couple of you on live, so if you have any questions, please just pop them in the chat. This is the work that, as I said, I've condensed this down. This is the work that that I do with the people that I work with, and at the moment I'm journeying in a 6-month container with some women. We call it the Sacred Sister Circle, and it's been so profoundly powerful for the women in this circle to be in this work in real time and supporting each other to stay conscious in real time. It's been so profound. So I am going to be creating a new one, a second one of these for women. The 6-month container, the Sacred Sister Circle, will commence at the beginning of February. But the doors are open if you want to join that now. And if you do want to join it now, we will work as a bit of a bonus. We'll work together one-on-one. We'll do a one-on-one session every month leading up to the start of this container. So, really help you get on the front foot with anything that you might be, dealing with right now. Yeah. If you want to, if you want to chat to any of the sisters that are in this beautiful container, let me know, because I'm sure they'd be happy to tell you the profound, even it's just blown my mind. I was guided to create this container that we're currently journeying in, and I've been really shoved hard by Spirit to create it again because of the profound impact of doing this work in real time. That's the best way I can describe it. Doing this work in real time. What do I mean by that? Well, sometimes we listen to a podcast or read a book and it sounds good and it feels good, but we don't actually apply the thing that felt good to our actual experiential process. This container is really doing that. Yeah, it's just profound. So good. So let me know if that's something that that you'd like to know more about. And that's pretty much it, I think, for this. Yes, we can go deeper on this for you yourself. Reach out if that sounds like something you would like to do. And I'm just trying to decide whether to pull a card. I think I will, because I've just actually reached out to my deck and picked up the deck. So I'm currently studying with the incredible Megan Watterson at the moment. I'm in a 6-month container with her, actually, studying ancient texts, which has been just blowing my mind as well. Really blowing open duality and separation. Yeah, it's really cool. So this is her deck. Oh, okay. I'm just gonna ask Source. Oh, I did ask for one card, but they've just jumped a whole bunch. Oh, I'm not gonna go with that. I just felt, no, that's not it. That's not the one. They really are very specific when they show me the card that they want me to draw. Oh, that's it. It just jumped, and they said this is the card. Okay, so here it is. It's a beautiful message. Her name is, I realize it's back to front because I didn't do the camera flip, but I'll put it in the comments. It's Mirabai. So Mirabai, the saint of true freedom. Oh, and again, every Empower Hour, this card always matches what we're talking about. So her intention, the intention behind this beautiful divine feminine goddess is, love is what sets me free. I am married to my own soul. Imagine a world where we were all in divine union with our own soul. We would want for nothing from anybody, would we? So and then imagine being that divinely fulfilled, what a contribution you would be able to be in the world, because you wouldn't need anything, because you're in a divine union already. This stuff blows my mind. Yeah, it really does. I'll look it up. I'll just see if there's anything in the actual message. Let me just find her. Sometimes it's really interesting. I've learnt so much from these incredible female warriors, because they really are incredible soul warriors that were just, to me, they're the original badasses of the world. And some of us would never have even heard of them, but they're all actual, they're not figments of our imagination. They're all recognized historically, all of these. So Mirabai, she, let me just see if I can read you a little bit. So she unwillingly married a crown prince in 1516, but she considered Krishna to be her true husband. So legend says that her husband's family tried to kill her several times for defying the social customs and expectations of a wife. But in each of these legends, Mirabai's love for Krishna would miraculously save her. She wears the Krishna tilaka, which is the forehead marking, as a sign of her devotion to him. Pretty powerful. It's just, there's so much here. I'll put all this in the chat for you guys and you can have a read of it. But I will read you, I'll read you what it means when our soul selects this card. So often, without even realizing it, we make choices. Oh my God. When I say this, if you've tuned in today, you're just going to go, shut up. Because I'm kind of going, shut up. And I knew those other cards were not the cards. I hear inside me when the card comes through. So often, without even realizing it, we make choices based on external expectations, on how we think other people will perceive our actions. That's codependency 101. Mirabai is about doing what's right for you and no one else. It's about filling your own cup, right? Being so, I call it self-full, because we have conditioning, generational conditioning in our bodies around the words selfish. It's jarring for so many, and that's totally understandable because of the conditioning most of us have grown up with around selfish being bad. So I prefer the term self-full, to be so full of self, and being in full responsibility, full self-responsibility for that, to make sure my cup is always full. Because we can't, what's in my cup is for me. What flows from my cup is for the world. So if your cup is empty, what the hell are you giving to the world? Right? If you are empty, what are you actually giving to the world? Well, nothing. You're just burning yourself out. So what's in my cup is for me. What flows from my cup is for everyone else. So doesn't it make sense then that if I want to be a contribution to the world, that the first port of call is to fill my cup so I'm overflowing? To me, it's it's not rocket science, but we do, we continue to try and serve the world from an empty cup. Ultimately, only you can know what needs to be done or said. You have this one brief life, and every second of it matters. Mirabai is about standing up for what you know is right for you, even if others will judge you for it. When you know what your needs are you willing to be a stand for your needs? Because the world needs you in your fullness, not in your lack. Because if you are contributing from the energy of lack, then you're going to just create more lack on the planet, not just for the planet, but for you too. Oh, the fear of being persecuted can convince us not to be true to who we really are. There's a love, though, that's far larger than human constructs and cultural values. Love isn't ethical. Love isn't bound by any idea of who or what's socially acceptable. Love is what sets us free from the expectations that bind us. Love, in whatever way it finds us, asks us to stay loyal to our own soul. Yeah, it's our responsibility to fulfill the needs that we believe a relationship's going to give us, a job is going to give us, a family is going to give us, an external circumstance is going to give us. Yeah. Love, in whatever way it finds us, asks us to stay loyal to our own soul. I just read that. Any outside force or person who asks us to betray our most intimate relationship with the divine isn't acting out of love. No, and we do this too, right? This isn't just about the other person. If I use one of my previous relationship as an example, I was expecting this person to fill my emotional needs and calling that love. That's not love. That's not love. Love is when I am willing to be in full self-responsibility for fulfilling my own needs, for fulfilling my own emotional needs in particular, but also my needs. Now, you can still journey with somebody that is also doing that, and you will have such a rich and extraordinary relationship. Yeah, when you do that. Yeah. So much in this today. And I'm aware that, I tend to just drop in all the insights for you to then take away and have a bit of a ponder. But I encourage you to do that. It's, that's the doorway to your self. When you get that big spotlight, and instead of looking, trying to look out here with your big spotlight, getting that big spotlight. And if you've read my book, you will know that I say this, turning that spotlight here. Yeah. How can I be in full self-trust? How can I be in full self-responsibility? Because when I live in full self-trust, trust of self, when I live in full self-responsibility, full responsibility for self, the byproduct of that is a self-love that is unshakable and extremely desirable. Yeah, by the world. Because so few of us, it's such a safe energy to be around. If you've ever been around anyone who is just so empowered to trust themselves and are in full self-responsibility, they exude this love that is just so magnetic. Yeah. All right, beautiful people. There you have it. A few of you jumping on now. I'm just about to wrap up, so I definitely encourage you to go back and listen to this. This is probably one of the most look, they all are. They're all absolute, wisdom bombs. I will not be on live the next 2 Mondays because I am completing on my timeline therapy and NLP practitioner training, which I've been studying this whole past year, and the face-to-face stuff is over the next 9 days from the 12th to the 20th. So please know that I won't be on for live Empower Hour, but I will sneak on for some sneaky lives to share with you, over the coming weeks. All right. Thank you for those that joined me today. Please know it really, truly lands deeply in my heart when people take the time to spend with me and tune in and go ahead and apply some of this wisdom in your own life. Get really, radically responsible, you know, for yourself and your joy and your happiness. Yeah. Okay. See you soon. Mwah.